Head live to the United States, Professor Peter Mathews, of course, a professor of political science at Cypress College in California. Peter, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, thanks, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, really good, really good. Now, it's heartbreaking news, isn't it, for the people of this area, those that still have lost ones with no identification.
It was horrendous. And a little 7-year-old girl who was the daughter of one of the firefighters that was helping with the rubble clearing, she was found passed away. It was horrible for that family. And so this is all around. You know, the tragedy is that back in 2018, there was a report made by an engineering company that was hired by the Tenants Association, the Condo Association, to see whether or not the building is ready for inspection again, needs to be done, anything to be done to it. And that report warned that there was structural damage and problems with columns as well as the foundational slabs. And yet, when in November, the city of Surfside's building inspector came to their meeting, he told the Condo Association the building's in pretty good shape. And this man has done similar things in the past several years in other cities where he worked for. So there was this malfeasance among so many different areas that caused a terrible tragedy.
President Joe Biden visited it as well.
He visited it. He showed empathy and compassion. And what else could he do? I mean, he was there. He's suffered tragedy in his own life, which he could relate to somewhat to some of the folks there, and they appreciated it. I know the mayor commended the president for coming down and doing what he did, but it still will not fill the void of those people who lost family, I mean, tragically, and some who escaped feel guilty for being alive still. It's a horrendous situation.
Yeah, the whole area, our heart goes out. We interviewed an individual last week who had friends in the building. It's terribly sad. We can see pictures here of the Bidens in Florida. Now, changing tack, changing pace slightly, or not slightly, a huge swing. The Trump Organization charges. What do you make of all of this?
Yeah, they were charged, the Trump Organization and the CFO, Mr. Weisselberg, were charged with fraud, conspiracy, and hiding records or concealing records, business records. And that was because, allegedly, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands, were paid out to employees, including him. In fact, $320,000 just for his own children to have tuition, college tuition. But many perks were given to these employees. It was actually salary, but it was off the record this way. The Trump Organization kept it off the books. But they kept their own books showing that they had that kind of record. And this was to avoid a lot of taxes in terms of the employees themselves, the executives in the company. And we don't know how far up that reaches yet, and the investigation is still going on. So it's very concerning. It has a lot of political implications as well for the future of President Trump and his future politically as well.
He seems to still have such a stranglehold on much of the Republican Party, though, doesn't he?
He certainly does. Many of his diehard followers will say, well, this is just a conspiracy to get him further, and that they'll just blame this indictment on the fact that the allegation that they feel that the progressive left or the Democrats want to actually get back to Trump or get him in trouble. And so this is really a tragedy because they're not seeing this for what it really is. It should be an investigation that no one is above the law, and no one is saying that Trump is guilty of anything yet, but the investigation is going on. But his organization, of which he's a top guy there, that organization was indicted by a grand jury and a district attorney of the federal inquiry, and this is really a big thing because not only he, but the CFO was also indicted, and that's on the way to going to trial. So we'll see how that goes and how the trial may move or what other indictments might come down and whether or not the president would anyway be indicted himself. We don't know yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you are a professor of political science. As we sit here in the early days of July 2021, how do you compare now to what it was like a year ago? Under the Trump presidency, COVID was out of control. Can you give us a bit of a snapshot from the ground?
Certainly, and exactly a year ago in July of 2020, we had thousands of people getting infected, but today the numbers have gone considerably down. I mean, today it's around 12,000 per day that's getting infected. The problem is the Delta variant, as you all have heard, I'm sure, and Australia is facing that as well. The Delta variant, an extremely powerful variant of the coronavirus, and it is more transmissible. It might be more infectious. It might be actually more dangerous for disease causing. And little children who cannot be vaccinated because they're under the age of 12, 48 million American children are under the age of 12 and are not eligible for the vaccination. They are really vulnerable to this Delta variant. And they may not get sick right away, or not, as many of them may not get sick, but they could carry it to other people who are not vaccinated. And by the way, over half of Americans, about half of Americans are not vaccinated fully. It's only 47% of Americans that are fully vaccinated. While that's ahead of a lot of other countries, it's still just not enough to bring about herd immunity. And I think the opening up is going too quickly here until we get more people vaccinated. That's what should be done. So it's quite different from 2020.
Yeah, look, it's a lot brighter. You can see the green shoots, that's for sure. And I tell you what, comparing your vaccination program to ours, you guys are a gold star. Like Australia, it has been shambolic. It really, really has. New South Wales, Sydney is in the middle of a full lockdown right at the moment.
Yes, so I hear, and I'm surprised we're able to even have this show today. I'm so glad to see you, and I hope you're very safe, and other people on your station are safe, and all the Australians who are in Sydney and other places are able to survive this and come through. But the vaccinations are key. You've got to ramp up the vaccinations, not just in Australia and the United States, but worldwide, because that Delta variant and other variants can come about when countries are not vaccinated fully, or even to 80% or so. Many people are going to be left unvaccinated. Some countries only have 2% vaccination rates. You know, even with China, which the whole thing started with, has a much lower vaccination rate than the United States. So all countries in the world have to work together to get these vaccines out to everyone, and that's how we'll be able to kill this virus. Otherwise, we won't be successful.
That is the ticket to liberty, without any question. Professor Peter Mathews, always good to chat. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
We certainly will. Thank you so much. You too, Tim.
Coming up on Weekend Edition.